Hello and welcome to another evening of stock car racing here on Premier Sports, where this week the action comes from the home of motorsport in Manchester at Bellevue Stadium. After the non-points event at Wimbledon, this really marks the start of the BriscaF1 stock car racing season, but sadly the weather has not been kind to the assembled company of BriscaF1 and F2 drivers, with heavy rain during the morning producing a very tricky track surface for this evening's meeting. Nonetheless, drivers from across England and Scotland will give it their all in the name of entertainment on the Bellevue Shale as the 2017 stock car season roars into life here at Bellevue today. Tonight we begin with the two heats all in for the BriscaF1 stock cars, followed by the final for the Formula 2s, then that's followed by the BriscaF1 final and then Grand Nationals for F2 and F1. Here we go then with heat number one for the BriscaF1 stock cars, a total of 21 cars out there for this one. Chris Worrell in number 263 leading them away. Luminaries to look out for include Nigel Green, number 445. The Waynemans are out there, Frankie Wayneman Jr., Frankie JJ, Frankie Wayneman Jr., that is, Danny Wayneman as well in 212. Stuart Smith is out there and Craig Finnegan, both of them former world champions. One car has pulled to the centre already, Jack France in 216 as the race gets underway, and already Mark Poole gets put away in 276. He hasn't even reached the start line. So Chris Worrell leads them off there ahead of Carl Roberts in 313. Luke Dennis in 192 is in third place. There's number 380, that's Chris Alderson in the fence. It's his first ever race in BriscaF1. Not conditions you want to make your debut in. You can see just how dreadful the conditions are out there. They're sliding their way around, no grip at all out there. Chris Worrell it is who leads around the first couple of laps then, ahead of Luke Dennis up there in second. There's Dan Clifford in 363, another of our newcomers here today. It's Chris Worrell in 263 who has got the lead. Dan Clifford and Chris Alderson both completed their rookie runs before the meeting. You have to do 5 laps as a novice on your own before you can race. At 192, Luke Dennis loses it. He'll lose second place. Ben Riley gets put away in 422. And there's Stuart Smith in 390, who's already cut through the field up into around third place behind Luke Dennis in 192. There are spun cars littering the raceway everywhere as Chris Worrell now runs wide. He slows up. Stuart Smith about to pass Luke Dennis in 192, and I think Stuart Smith has gone into the lead already in 390 from towards the back of the grid, the former world champion. Luke Dennis gets spun aside there at turns 3 and 4. Danny Wayneman has gone in 212. He got hit head on by one of the yellow tops. The world champion, number 1, Frankie Wayneman Jr., was in there as well. It's tricky for me to tell which car is which, never mind for the drivers to race in these conditions. There's number 225. That's Mark Clayton making a return to the sport after a couple of years away today. Stuart Smith, well, has gone out of sight of everybody else virtually. Luke Dennis is pinballing all over the place. He now goes onto the centre. 220 Will Hunter has pulled up as well. Competing cars just dropping out in droves here, probably because the drivers simply can't see where they're going. Stuart Smith, well, he has to spin there to avoid Geoff Gibson's spun car. So Stu Smith facing the wrong way in 390. Is he going to be able to get going again, still in the lead, I wonder, because he'd lapped several cars already. So many cars had spun here. I think Stuart Smith might still be leading. It's very difficult to tell. He has rejoined after that spin. He was so far ahead of everybody else after that brilliant early pace. I think he might still be in front here. This is looking back from one of the cars, and even looking back, you can't see anything other than mud, glorious mud. There's Craig Finnegan, number 55, the former world champion, fighting with Danny Wayneman in 212, and there's the world champion, Junior Wayneman in number 1. Danny's brother with the gold roof, number 1 on the roof. 390. I think he's still leading this despite that spin. The red top. We are new to stock car racing, and the cars start in grades. The higher grades, the higher point scorers starting further back on the grid as Billy Johnson spins there in 169. He's a blue grader. The grades go white for the lower scorers from previous meetings, then yellow, blue, red and superstar. The white graders led the field away in this one, and it is a red top who leads now. Stuart Smith in 390. There's yellow grader Carl Roberts. He's going well in 313. We've got a car in the fence on the back straight. That's Frankie JJ in treble 5. Frankie Wayneman Jr. We're at half distance. You can see on the left of your picture there the Union flag going out from the start marshal, which signals halfway. Trying to work out who definitely is leading here. There's been so many cars that have spun and crashed out, and Stuart Smith has now got caught up with one of the yellow tops. He's come to a dead stop, but such is his advantage in this one. He made such a break early on. I think he's got going again, still in the lead. Yes, the starter signals him through. I think Stuart Smith is still there, but I don't think anybody's certain by this stage. It's impossible to tell which car is which. Such a shame the weather's put quite literally a dampener on what could have been a very good season opener. I think every car in this race has spun at one point. Stuart Smith spun twice, yet he's still in front. Have to wait and see who the lap boards get given to in the last 5 laps of this one. There is Smith, Rochdale, Lancashire, son of Stuart Smith Senior. Many say is the greatest stock car driver of all time. Won 500 finals in his career. Stuart's brother Andy, 5-time world champion as well. Wainmans and the Smiths have long vied to be the top family in the sport. Steve Whittle, number 183 there, hits the back of Stuart Smith and doesn't slow him down this time. Coming up to lap Chris Worrell, I think that is there in 2:63. Craig Finnegan is spun. There's Mark Poole's car off as well. 422 Ben Riley. It's like a Grand National in wet conditions in terms of horse racing, with loose horses everywhere in the shape of stranded cars. Even Carl Roberts, a noted mudlark, as they say, has had a spin there. So it'll be 2 laps to go next time around for Stuart Smith. Still leading despite 2 spins. There he goes, down the home straight. Cars stranded on the raceway everywhere. There's Geoff Gibson slowing up in 2:49. He's still in the top 10. At least 1 lap down now. Away goes Smith. Seems to be the only one who can cope with these conditions. Everybody has spun at some point in this race. We're in the closing stages now, coming around to start the final lap. There's Chris Alderson's car, number 380, stranded on the turn there. He didn't even get to start his first ever BriscaF1 race. He hit the fence before he'd even got to the start line. Smith elbows Billy Johnson, one of a couple of returnees to racing today aside. Somebody else in the fence there on turn 1. I couldn't identify who it was. We're on the last lap now. Smith elbows another red top aside and he's coming in to take the win despite having spun twice. What an extraordinary race to kick off the point scoring season. Stuart Smith in 390 takes the win. And I'll freely admit, as for second place, I haven't got a clue. We'll have to check the official results in just a moment. I've never seen so many cars spin in one oval race of any description. Absolute mayhem, and somehow Stuart Smith comes back to win it. Smith the winner then, ahead of Danny Wainman and Craig Finnegan, with Carl Roberts in 4th and Frankie Wainman Jr. 5th. They all spun at some point. Geoff Gibson was 6th, ahead of Billy Johnson and Steve Whittle, Richard Bryan and Frankie JJ rounding out the top 10.
390 Stuart Smith Jr. First official point scorer of 2017 in what could best be described as an awful track.
Yeah, it's like racing in a bowl of porridge, really, isn't it? It's just the weather, though. Nothing can be helped, you know. We race in any kind of weather, so you've got to put your sticky tyres on and go out there. And the only problem is seeing, you know, halfway, well, not even halfway. I think 5 laps, and the goggles completely pack up, and it's like somebody's got a bucket of mud and just throwing it at your face with 700 horsepower behind it. You know, that's the only way I can explain it. But I knew if I kept going, I had the speed compared to other cars, so I spun out twice, but that's because we've got some engine issues. It's more carburettor than engine, so I'm hoping to get that sorted out in time for the second heat, because I think we're out pretty sharpish. So.
You had a pretty terrible year by your standards last year. This year you seem fired up that you're going to have a more successful season.
Yeah, I'm determined to. You know, I want to give something back to the fans, to sponsors that have supported me through the times when we've had bad luck. Really, it can only be described as bad luck the last few seasons. And really, my main game is to win the World Championship and every other championship out there, and no one's going to stop me. You know, that's my attitude. So let's see.
So will we see the old Stuart Smith front bumper come back out to play this year?
Yeah, I think I hit one or two then. Just warming myself up for the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Out on track then for heat number 2, a slightly reduced field of 15 cars for this one. We haven't got Chris Worrell, so aside from the novices, no white tops. It'll be Richard Bryan and Jack France in 216, who didn't get away in heat 1 to lead the field away. Good to see the drivers have cleaned off their aerofoils so we can see the numbers. Thank you to them for that. Bit easier to identify the cars. We are underway for 16 laps of racing. And away they go with Richard Bryan in 238, a shale specialist, leading the field away. Into the mud they go once again then, 313. Carl Roberts in second place, Mark Clayton third in 225. Jack France struggling again in 216. Carl Roberts going through into the lead as they come off turn 4 as 363 Dan Clifford, one of our novices, spins out there into the infield tyres, nearly gets collected by Roberts. The leader comes through to lap him. Richard Bryan is in second place as the race starts to settle down. Carl Roberts, one of several former national mini-stocks racers in this race. Even the marshals getting a drenching in mud there. Fair play to them as we have a bit of a mess there on the inside of turn 1. Dan Clifford, Billy Johnson, Will Hunter, I think that was Steve Whittle in there as well. Craig Finnegan pulling off in 55. We must say a big thank you to all the marshals for their services out there, getting even more caked in mud than I think the drivers are today as they stand out there waving their flags. We couldn't go racing without them, of course. 313 then, Carl Roberts, your leader. There's Chris Alderson, at least getting some laps in this time in his first ever BriscaF1 meeting. Just avoids the fence there on turn 4. Billy Johnson bashing his way through the marker tyres on the inside of turn 4. With them full of water, you wouldn't want to hit one of those at full speed. It would probably flip you over. There's the world champion, Frankie Wainman Jr. in number 1. Hear a little more from him later on in the show. And Clifford getting some bumper work from Geoff Gibson there. Geoff saying hi, welcome to BriscaF1 to Dan Clifford in his first ever meeting. Geoff Gibson running well, much quicker than we saw in race 1. There is Carl Roberts still leading the way. He's got Richard Bryan behind him in 238. The two yellow graders setting the pace in this one. There's Luke Dennis as well in 192. Roberts now starting to pull away. Laps Steve Whittle, dispatches him wide in 183. Dan Clifford spun again. He's learning all the time. Every time he pushes that pedal, it's a new learning experience for him. Roberts still there in second. Luke Dennis third. Frankie Wainman Jr. out there, looks like he's in fourth. And Richard Bryan has tangled with Billy Johnson. So that's second place gone. We lose the 238's car. And Clifford stuck in the inner tyres, trying to rejoin. Carl Roberts continues his seemingly relentless pace. As we mentioned in Heat 1, he is a wet weather specialist, loves the mud. Proving so here in 313. They splash their way along behind. Carl Roberts now well clear. There is Junior Wainman in number 1. A shale car that swept all before it last season. He won the World Final in that car at Coventry, the last ever World Final, of course, to be held at the famous Brandon Stadium. The Union flag is out for halfway. Carl Roberts away and clear in 313. Running well in Heat 1, finished in the top 5 despite a spin. Sponsored by itsthepit.co.uk, the Oval Racing Marketplace, sales and swaps websites. Carl has, of course, done the fastest lap of the race. He continues to lead the way, getting further and further clear of Junior Wainman and the rest further back. I don't think there's going to be many finishers in this one. 445 there, Nigel Green getting caught up with Chris Alderson and a couple of others. Nigel struggling so far today, normally goes well on the shale. Carl Roberts, I think, by now was lapped just about everybody. There's Geoff Gibson, who's had a spin in 2:49. He rejoins behind Roberts, and Junior Wainman goes through to second, but he gets spun out by Gibson. Those two were fighting over second place, so that means, I think, that Carl Roberts has lapped the whole field. You don't see that very often in BriscaF1. Carl Roberts has lapped everybody. Junior Wainman was fighting for second with Geoff Gibson. We saw him behind Roberts there. The electronic lap scoring being affected by the conditions today. But it looks to me as though Carl Roberts has lapped everyone. A remarkable feat. 4:22 Ben Riley behind him there. He's a couple of laps down. Away goes Roberts. His right rear tyre looking a bit out of kilter there. He's only got 3 laps to negotiate this time. There will not be many finishes to this heat number 2, although the sun is starting to burn its way through the cloud here at the home of motorsport in Manchester at Bellevue Stadium. Roberts fighting away there with a couple of slower markers. He battles his way on. Ben Riley behind him. Chris Alderson there has come to a dead stop in the middle of one of the turns. It's like something from one of those outdoor monster truck shows you see in the United States, doesn't it, out there? In fact, a monster truck would probably be a quicker way of getting round Bellevue today, but the driver's certainly making the best of it. 1 lap to win for Carl Roberts in 3:13. Riley under fire from Geoff Gibson and Junior Wainman. They're still fighting for second place, albeit miles behind this man. 3:13, the only man able to cope with the conditions, it seems, in this one. Carl Roberts in 3:13 comes home the winner, punches the air as he crosses the line. He's delighted with that. Nobody else within a lap of him. I think it will be Junior Wainman possibly home second, but we'll confirm that in a moment. It may be Geoff Gibson in 2:49. They were fairly close, battling for second place. But no doubt about your winner there. One of the most emphatic victories I have seen in a long time in BriscaF1. Carl Roberts, number 313, taking the win. Geoff Gibson showing as on the same lap there, but with the electronic lap scoring far from perfect in the dire conditions. He takes second, Junior Wainman third, then Nigel Green, Luke Dennis, Jack France a good 6th, Richard Bryan, who was second early on, in 7th.
3:13, Carl Roberts, winner of Heat 2 here at Bellevue. That was a difficult race.
Yeah, it's treacherous conditions out there. Everyone was struggling, to be honest. They were all in the same boat. But yeah, I was lucky, really. I got a good break at the start of the race and just maintained it.
A couple of lucky escapes with cars spinning in front of you and things like that, but you kept it pointing forwards and got the win.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you don't know what they're going to do when they spin. You don't know which way they're going, reversing or coming forward, and you just got to be switched on all the time. Like, and luckily enough, I managed to get through unscathed. Took the win. Happy with that.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Now it's on to the meeting final for the Brisca Formula 2 stock cars, the smaller cousins of the BriscaF1s. 24 of them out there, a big grid for their meeting final. 2 white graders that have qualified through from the heats, Andy Gibbs and 283 Gary Allen lead the field away for this one. The heats won by 606 Andrew Palmer and 905 Rob Mitchell. The consolation by 377 Daz Shaw. It's Andy Gibbs 431 who leads the field away. Look out in this one for the former world and current national points champion Gordon Moody, number 7 from Scotland, from the back of the grid, and fellow Scot number 100 George McMillan Jr., likewise a former world and national points champion. And Gibbs leads them off then. The push and shove for second place. Courtney Finnegan in there in number 55, one of the leading ladies of BriscaF2. Josh Coleman in second place in 6:15, and 5:78 is next. That's Mark Gibbs. There's 3:77, the consolation winner. Daz Shaw always goes well on the shale. There's Gordon Moody, we caught a glimpse of with the silver roof, number 7. Looks like we've got yellow flags out though. Yes, the race comes under caution. Somebody in trouble somewhere. Gary Allen has spun there in 283 on turns 3 and 4. So a problem somewhere on the raceway, bringing the caution out. Oh, there's the problem. 225 Tony Blackburn stuck in the fence. His car has been removed and we're ready for the restart. 4-3-1, Gibbs still up front. Plenty of cars left, plenty of laps left. We've only completed a couple of laps in this 20-lap meeting final. Josh Coleman second, then it's Mark Gibbs. Then we have got Gary Allen, who's rejoined after his spin. Next in the order, Michael Wallbank in 5-2-4, and then Courtney Finnegan. Oh, Andy Gibbs is pulling off. He's got a problem. So we've lost our leader during the yellow flags. That means Josh Coleman will take up the lead in 6-1-5. So problems there for Andy Gibbs in 4-3-1. He's out of it. And it is 6-1-5 of Coleman who take the lead for the restart. The yellow flag is withdrawn. We're back underway. Lee Dimmick in problems already there in number 59. He gets elbowed wide, clips the fence on turn 4. We lose the number 59 car. It's 6-1-5. Josh Coleman, who's got the lead, ahead of Mark Gibbs in 5-7-8. First two pulling away slightly. 9.05 already up there. Rob Mitchell, one of our heat winners from earlier on. Non-qualifiers in the heats went in the consolation, won by Daz Shaw. Josh Coleman increasing his lead here in 6-1-5. The yellow grader, same grading system used here as in the F1s. There's Andrew Palmer, the winner of Heat 1, chasing now George McMillan. George McMillan Jr. racing under his late father George Sr.'s number 100. Attacked there by Palmer. Gordon Moody's behind them in number 7. Winner of more national points championships than I can remember in his career. Leader coming up to lap, Neil Cope in number 8-1-9. Gets past him, no problem. Gordon Moody set the fastest lap time last time around, 20.45 seconds. So he'll be challenging for the front, I'm sure, fairly shortly. So just the one caution period so far. Then there is a slightly dry line emerging. As soon as the drivers work out that dry line, they'll start going mad with the front bumpers. Shaw on the attack there. Neil Cope has pulled up at turn 3. Good stuff so far from the F2s. Rob Mitchell, the other car involved there, I think number 9.05. Battling it out with Moody now as he falls back. Somebody going for a trip through the puddles on the inside there. Josh Coleman, then your leader, ahead of Michael Wallbank. Then it's Daz Shaw, Andrew Palmer, Gordon Moody, and Rob Mitchell. Palmer lapping quickly as well. The low 20s. Slip and slide their way around. There's Moody, scored a glimpse of there. There's Carl Pilkington in second place, not to be confused with the comedian of the same name. Saw Gary Ford in 26 pulling up there. It's Coleman a little bit out of shape off the turn, avoiding Neil Cope's stranded car. This is a good run by 6-1-5 Josh Coleman. If he wins the final, he'll move up from yellow to blue grade in a few days' time. You get promoted a grade if you win an F2 final, but the caution is out again. Caution comes out again, possibly for Neil Cope's stranded car. The recovery tractor trying to join the traffic there. Yes, there's that stranded car on turn 4, and a collision there under the yellow flags, and that's damaged Andrew Palmer's car. He got caught up with Gordon Moody. That's broken Andrew Palmer's steering, and that happened after the yellow flags had come out. Now, Andrew Palmer won't be too happy there, because while Moody is able to continue, Palmer is not. So we've gone up to just before half distance there, before that second yellow flag of the race for Neil Cope's stranded car. We are back underway, the green is out, Josh Coleman still in the lead. Coleman leads it then ahead of Carl Pilkington, but Gordon Moody is up into third position in the number 7 car. Gordon has won hundreds of finals in his career. Chasing now the two at the front, the 2 yellow graders. Rob Mitchell, I think that is in 4th place. Moody's the one to watch, the Scot. Michael Lundin there as well in 9.95. Moody not showing in the lap charts there. He's going through into 2nd place. We say apologies for the slight problems with the electronic lap scoring today. It's down to the conditions. A bit of rain getting into the system. So Moody up to 2nd then, chasing Josh Coleman now for the lead. 3rd place, I think that's Michael Lundin, 9.95. And through in 4th is Daz Shaw in 3.77. Moody closing on Coleman for the lead. Lap 12 of this 20-lap BriscaF1 feature final. Very quick and very controlled out in front. It's 9.05 in third, not 9.95, sorry. Rob Mitchell, not Michael Lund, I apologise. First four have broken away from the rest of the field. Confusion stemming from Gordon Moody not showing in the lap chart there. He is there, he is on the lead lap, and he is in second place. Here comes Daz Shaw now, attacking Rob Mitchell for third place. I think Michael Lund is further back behind them in 9.95. Leaders coming up to lap a back marker here. That's Leighton O'Reilly in number 318. So they'll be hoping he doesn't get in the way. The former lightning rod racer in a Ford Sierra with his dad Tim. Josh Coleman tries to get the bumper in on Leighton O'Reilly to move the back marker aside. Yes, he's done so. Coleman continues to lead. Can he hold off Gordon Moody in number 7? The Flying Scotsman is closing fast. 5 laps to go this time for Josh Coleman, and now Moody's on his tail. He's having a look as they come out of turn 2. He's going to go through on the inside. Moody takes the lead. The Scot goes through, takes it up, and on his tail is Rob Mitchell in 9.05. Mitchell tries to get the bumper, he leans Moody out wide. Daz Shaw's spun behind them. I think Josh Coleman was caught up there as well. Rob Mitchell and Gordon Moody fighting it out for the lead. Coleman spins in the background, he's got a puncture. Oh, what a shame for Josh Coleman after he led for so long. He's out of the race. So, it's Moody and Mitchell, and Mitchell slow there through turns 1 and 2. Gordon Moody's got the lead in number 7. It all happened there with just 4 laps to go. And the lap board is going to be shown to Gordon Moody, who's now on his own in number 7. Well, he's away and clear. There's Matt Linfield in 4.64 giving Leighton O'Reilly a shove, but I think O'Reilly's out of it. There's not going to be many finishers than the 24 who started. But Gordon Moody out front, a former world champion. He won that in similar conditions to this at Mildenhall a few years ago with the last bend lunge on Mark Simpson. He's won the National Points Championship, well, I think in double figures now, more times than I can remember. And he's coming round to start his last lap. In his home raceways in Scotland, he is rarely defeated, Gordon Moody. Into the last lap he goes. Nobody within the length of a straight of him. I think it might be Daz Shaw still in second, despite a quick spin earlier on. He's just done the fastest lap of the race. But it's going to be a win. Another final in the book for number 7, the Flying Scotsman, the silver top. Gordon Moody takes the F2 final. Wait to see who comes through in second. Looks like it is Daz Shaw in second place in number 377, and we'll confirm third place in a moment. Well, not many cars going the distance in that one. It is another final win for Gordon Moody. Moody the winner there ahead of Daz Shaw. Michael Lund took third ahead of Chris Mitchell, with brother Rob 6th behind Liam Bentham. And Michael Wallbank, Carl Pilkington and Matt Linfield were the only other finishers. Bad luck Josh Coleman, who led for most of the way.
Number 7, Gordon Moody, winner of the final. That's not unusual. What is? It's on shell.
Yeah, that's right. We put a lot of effort into the car over the winter. So I'm going to try and focus a lot more on shale this season and next season. So we're quite happy that, I think that was our 3rd meeting this year on shale, so quite happy that we've got the win early on.
So good action so far. Join us for more stock car racing here at Bellevue after this short break. Welcome back to Bellevue, where conditions continue to be trying ahead of the main event, the final for the BriscaF Formula 1 stock cars. Before that, though, we recently headed over to Silsden in Yorkshire for a few words with the world champion.
Over the last sort of 8 to 10 years, I suppose, I've been concentrating on getting the kids sorted with their racing, getting their careers up and running. And they'd sort of moved into adult formulas, both of them, so it was time to settle back into getting me sorted, really, if for want for a better expression. So we set to and built the new shale car last year, going on the lines of what everybody else has been doing, the rear weight, which I sort of disagreed with in a way for the sport, but it was holding me back personally. So we built this shell car last winter, spent a lot of time, just made it totally different. I wanted a car to look totally different. If I'm honest, I wasn't too fussed what it looked like, if that makes sense. I just wanted it to be different. So we set to and built this, and right from day one, it was the quickest shell car last season. Every meeting I went to, it virtually won a race, and it was a pleasure to drive it. Absolutely loved every part of it. You know, we put a lot of time and a lot of effort into the way of the handling and also the way the car looked, and we were just so wrapped with it all season. And then obviously, you know, that was capped off in the world final by winning the world championship. So yeah, it was superb. For tarmac, you want the minimum rear weight. On shale, you want a lot more. It sort of meant, as a car builder, I've always tried to get one car to do both surfaces, to make it affordable for the driver, so he only has to buy one car. That's how I've done sort of all my career. You know, my cars will do both. But it was holding me back. I was short of a little bit of drive on shale, and I needed the engine back. So obviously this car's got the engine right back. Sort of the rear weight's a lot higher than any car I've ever had, and straight away it was so much better. And you know, on selfishly building it, because obviously I disagree with the way that the weights have split the sport, but everybody was doing it, so you can't hold back for too long. In years gone by, in the heyday, there was sort of 5 or 6 cars that were quick every meeting. Now there's 25, 26 cars that are quick, and they could all win that race. So it's got really hard, and obviously I start back car every race, so you've got to pass every one of those cars. So yeah, it made it quite special. That Kingsley meeting, the first one, it was Eaton final double, was absolutely just, it blew me away. It was really good. For this season, 2017, I'm just going to go out there to obviously defend the World Championship is the main priority, but to try and win a championship and win as many races as I can. Like I say, it has got harder now to win races. Last season, and I was the highest final winner, highest race winner, which I haven't been for a lot of years. I enjoyed it, enjoyed every part of it. So that's basically the goal, just, and obviously nurture Frankie and Phoebe and keep them going in theirs.
Wonderful to hear from Junior Waitman there. It's now final time for the BriscaF Formula 1 stock cars here at Bellevue. 17 cars out there for 20 laps of racing. And we are underway with Carl Roberts taking the early lead. He gets clattered there on the first turn by returnee Mark Clayton in 2.25. Ready a bit of bump and shove among the red tops, and Ben Riley gets spun out in 4.22 by our earlier winner Stuart Smith in 3.90. Mark Clayton jockeying for position at the front with Roberts. It's Carl Roberts who has got the early lead by the look of things. Clayton slowing up. All of the cars in trouble in the deep slush on the outside of the home straights. Geoff Gibson's made a good start in 2.49, so is Craig Finnegan in 55. The race starts to settle down then. 1.92 of Luke Dennis having a go at Ben Riley. Up there with them is Roberts. He's got the early lead. Dan Clifford has a spin in 3.63. He gets collected by another car there. I'll try and identify that in a moment. 3.13, Carl Roberts gets spun sideways. He's in trouble there. Geoff Gibson goes through in 2.49. Looks like he could now be into the lead with Roberts delayed. It's Geoff Gibson, XF2 racer, up front in 2.49. Race settling in then. Gibson signals through as the leader by the start marshal. Carl Roberts has recovered. Looks like he's still there in second place. The Star and Superstar graders will soon be making their way towards the front. Stuart Smith will probably be at the forefront of it. Carl Roberts attacks back again. He's going to retake the lead here. We've lost Frankie JJ in treble 5. He's facing the wrong way against the fence on the home straight, trying to get going here. Some damage to his aerofoil there. We've lost Billy Johnson as well in the 169 car. It's Carl Roberts proving his status as a mudlark, as they say in horse racing, who leads the way, coming up to lap 364 of Chris Worrell, I think that is. His car back out after heat 1. The race starts to settle down now. Stuart Smith on the attack in 3.90. Dominance of the first heat, he and Roberts, the two favourites for this one. Similar aerofoil designs on their cars as well. 220 Will Hunter, well up, we've not seen much from him so far today. There is Smith in 3.90. conditions not quite as horrendous as they were earlier on, but still very tough indeed. Fair play to every single driver for putting on a show as best they can. Stu Smith attacks 169 of Billy Johnson, gets past him. Roberts in there as well. The two quickest cars on track at the moment. One of the yellow graders has stopped at turn 1. We'll see who it was. Geoff Gibson was quickest that time around as Smith gets a shove from Roberts there into one of the back markers. That was Ben Riley. There goes Roberts. I think he's still leading the way. Richard Bryan has spun at turn 2. Roberts gets through on the inside. 555 Frankie JJ is going again as well after his trip into the fence earlier on. There's his dad, number 1, Frankie Wainman Jr., the man we heard from earlier. We're looking back from his car now at Carl Roberts in 313, and we're about to see the rare sight of Junior Wainman, the world champion, going a lap down, I think. Carl Roberts just so much quicker than everybody else today, with the exception of Stuart Smith. They seem to be the only 2 drivers with any real pace today in these conditions. Union flag goes out for halfway. Carl Roberts continues to lead, despite a half spin earlier on in the first couple of laps. He's got the world champion number 1 ahead of him. I think Wainman might have a puncture, that might be why he's slowing up. Some bumper there, he gets bumped into a spun car. That's Dan Clifford who was spun aside there in 363. But now that's allowed Stuart Smith to close in. He's catching our leader Carl Roberts. Here they come, round turns 1 and 2. Here comes Stuart Smith in 390, moving up to challenge Carl Roberts now for the lead. I think it might be Will Hunter in 3rd in 220, I'm not 100% sure on that. They're coming up on Junior Wainman, who moves aside there. Still Roberts with the lead, then Smith, but the yellow flags have come out. We've got a couple of cars in the fence at turn 1. I think one of them might be Luke Dennis in 192. Jack Francis' car in the fence there as well, so a couple of yellow graders off. And ready for a restart. We're on lap 13 out of the 20. This is Stuart Smith's ideal opportunity. Wainman moves aside, lets Stuart Smith through to attack the leader. Wainman has got a tyre off the rim, the right rear we can see there. So that's going to be the end of his race. Smith's still there in 2nd place. It's moved aside by Will Hunter in 220 there, Junior Wainman. Carl Roberts throws it into turns 3 and 4. He's thrown it in too much. He's half spun it. He's going to lose the lead. Through goes Stuart Smith. Well, Carl Roberts just trying too hard there on turn 4. Through the car into the turn. He got 2 sideways, almost spun around. And so now Stuart Smith has got the lead in 390. That's unfortunate for Carl Roberts. He's trying to fight back on the back of Nigel Green, who's now through into 2nd place. Where's he come from? In 445, Nigel Green is up into 2nd place. Now, could he chase down Stuart Smith for the lead? Roberts still there in 3rd, banging wheels with somebody there. Now into turn 1, Craig Finnegan gets turfed aside in 55, the former world champion backwards into the fence. Geoff Gibson has also spun in that melee as well. And I think Green was delayed there too in 445, so Stuart Smith could have just been handed this final on a plate, but there's a few laps to go yet, 5 to be precise. Stuart Smith in the clear ahead of Nigel Green, who was delayed there by spinning cars on turn 1. Wainman trying to struggle on, but his rear wheel is in shreds. The tyre is in shreds. The wheel is very buckled. He won't be able to continue. 4 laps to run for Stuart Smith in 390. The man from Rochdale. Black flag is shown there. That's Junior Wainman trying to keep going with 3.5 wheels on the car, but he's had to be flagged off by the stewards. 5, Frankie JJ gets some bumper from Stuart Smith, who is surely now heading for victory, or is he? Or is he? Because look at Nigel Green. He's really closing up in these closing stages. Smith having to deal with back markers. He gets past Billy Johnson there. This is going to be close. Nigel Green is determined here. It's 2 laps to go this time, and Nigel Green is closing back up on Stuart Smith. He was delayed by a spun car earlier on, but the man from Leicestershire is closing fast now. Nigel Green, who came close to winning the National Points Championship last season. Down the back straight he goes. He is lining up 390 Stuart Smith. Are we going to see an attack on the last lap? Coming round to start the final lap now of this BriscaF1 meeting final. Want to win for Stuart Smith. Could Nigel Green nab it on the final turn? Here they come, around turns 1 and 2. Down the back straight, Green, is he lining up for a hit on Stuart Smith? He's not going to lunge in, he's going to try and go up the inside into turns 3 and 4. He hits his nerf rail, he pushes him sideways. That's a very canny move by Nigel Green, and he wins the final. Good driving there by Nigel Green on the last lap. Smith's got a puncture as well. I don't know whether that slowed him up on the final turn, but Nigel Green, he didn't go in for the big lunge on Stuart Smith. He just instead put the nose down the inside, just clipped him aside, and was able to force the 390 car wide. Green the winner then ahead of Smith, Carl Roberts taking third, then Danny Wainman, Craig Finnegan despite a late spin, Geoff Gibson, Ben Riley, Richard Bryan, Will Hunter and Billy Johnson. Let's go and hear from race winner Nigel Green in the pits.
Action. 4:45, Nigel Green, winner of the Formula 1 final. After the disappointment of last year in the final round of the shootout, that's a good start.
Yeah, I think the look might have changed at Bellevue, yeah, so obviously really disappointed last year, but this year's a new slate, so let's crack on. And to start the season with a win's great in these challenging conditions.
And it's never easy to get by Stuart, but that was a nice little stock car move on the last bend.
It was, yeah, it was a nice move. Obviously it's early on, we don't be creating any wars at this stage of the season, so just to drive underneath him, give him some nerf rail was nice, but he unfortunately picked up a puncture, so he was wounded, so yeah, I had a bit of luck then.
And you're building a hotly anticipated tarmac car, that's something different. You could be a force to be reckoned with once again this year.
Well, yeah, that's the plan. I'm actually not building it. Mark Thornton's building it. We've come up with a plan before the winter of what we wanted to achieve, and now he's grafting away behind the scenes doing that, so hopefully we'll be able to roll those out when the weather turns a bit in about 2 months' time.
We'll look forward to that. Thank you very much.
Time for the first of our 2 Grand Nationals then, the Brisca Formula 2 stock cars back on track, just the chosen few this time, only 10 cars out there for this one, quite a few drivers having chosen to depart after the final. It's 464 of Matt Linfield who leads the field away for this one, ahead of Carl Pilkington in second place. No Gordon Moody, so no driver off the lap handicap. Of course, if you win a final in BriscaF1 or F2, you start the Grand National from a lap down. So it's Matt Linfield on a comparatively rare shale appearance, normally races across the tarmac tracks of the South and the Midlands, and the Southwest as well down at Taunton and St Day, who leads the way, number 464, ahead of Carl Pilkington in number 728. 524, Mike Wallbank is third, then Courtney Finnegan and Chris Mitchell in number 219. Mitchell family have all raced F2s over the years. Dad Roger, his brothers Rob and Chris. Saw Rob in action in the final, fighting for the lead earlier on. It's 464 of Matt Linfield has got the lead. Daz Shaw, the quickest lap so far, 19.5. He'll be one to watch later on as he moves up the order. Courtney Finnegan gets elbowed wide there by Chris Mitchell. She falls back down the order, the former ORCI Mini Stocks champion. It's 464 Matt Linfield with the lead. An unusual sponsor on his car. You can't see it for the mud on the car at the moment. He's sponsored by uniquely different makeup, Matt Linfield. I wonder if they do mud packs. Well, the race continues then with Carl Pilkington chasing for the lead. Andrew Palmer's just done the fastest lap of the race, 19.15. Quick for these conditions, the multiple World of Shale champion. Still Linfield out in front in 464. Journey here from the south of England to race here in Manchester today. Going to push and shove at the back there. Courtney Finnegan gets pushed off in 55. He was attacked by number 12 of Danny Ford, who now hits the fence coming down the straight. A cloud of steam. I think he's broken the radiator in his number 12 car, Danny Ford. And he used to race under number 136 a few years ago. The superstar grade at one stage. Andrew Palmer under attack from Daz Shaw. While they fight further back, away goes Matt Linfield at the front in 464. His brother Steve, a regular stock car commentator at various venues across the country. And Carl Pilkington spins there. It's clipped by, I think that was Mike Wallbank as they fight for second place. Yes, Wallbank is through. Andrew Palmer still setting quick times further back in the field, but not making much progress up the order at the moment. Busy battling his fellow higher graders. 10 cars took the green flag in this race. We've lost a couple of them, Courtney Finnegan and Danny Ford, as Matt Linfield continues out in front. We're past halfway now in this 16-lap Grand National. Carl Pilkington gets spun out there on turn 3. Shaw battling with Michael Lund, battle of the red tops further back. Shaw trying his hardest to move up the order in this one. He won the consolation here today, moving the places in the final. There he is, the bright green car. Just about to see the green paint there, making up another place on turn 4. Well, they're not going to catch Matt Linfield. He's leading by at least the length of a straight now. Firm second place in a few moments' time. Lap 12, so 5 to go, including the one that they're on. Matt Linfield certainly wearing his mud pack today. Not from his sponsors, from the track. There is 606 Andrew Palmer. Looks like he could be up to second place now. Man from Peterborough. Man with a long trip home today. Winner of so many World of Shale titles. Michael Wallbank is still third, and Daz Shaw in fourth place. 3 laps to run for Matt Linfield. Leaning on each other there further down the order. That's Shaw and Mike Wallbank. That's the fight for third place, I think. Rob Mitchell has just done the fastest lap of the race in 9:05. He's just behind those two. 2 laps left. Possibly a problem there for Andrew Palmer, number 606. He seems to be slowing down. Rob Mitchell has got ahead of Daz Shaw. So Matt Linfield, just a couple of laps to negotiate now. Into his last lap he goes, ready for a comparatively rare shale victory. Plenty of push and shove on turn 4 there, and somebody out into the deep shale on the outside. That's either Shaw or Palmer, can't tell which. It's going to be a win for yellow grader Matt Linfield. Impressive stuff. He comes off the final turn, takes the checkered flag. Matt Linfield wins the F2 Grand National, a long way clear of the rest of them. It looks like Daz Shaw coming through for second, so it must have been Palmer who slowed up in the closing stages there in 6:06. Yes, there he is, struggling home. So the win goes to Matt Linfield by over 6 seconds ahead of Daz Shaw in that one, with Mike Wallbank third in his battle with Rob Mitchell. Michael Lund, Chris Mitchell, Carl Pilkington, Andrew Palmer, the only other finishers, Danny Ford and Courtney Finnegan, indeed the only other starters. Onto the Grand National for the Brisca Formula 1 stock cars. Then we've got 12 cars out there for this one. Nigel Green starting from the lap handicap, so he starts in front of the yellow graders. Carl Roberts, Richard Bryan and Luke Dennis will lead the field away. Already we've got somebody clipping the fence up there. Who was that? That was Ben Riley in 4.22. But he's in trouble already. The race had barely got underway. 3.13 of Carl Roberts it is then who leads them round. Ian Stewart Smith, the dominant force all day. Geoff Gibson's been spun out. He gets collected by the 55 of Craig Finnegan, 2014 world champion. Roberts leads it. It's going to be very tough for Nigel Green to try to make up the lap handicap here, having won the final. So Roberts settles in the lead then. He'll be watching out for Stewart Smith coming through the field, I'm sure. There's Luke Dennis, number 192. Finnegan in 55, recovering from his earlier spin. Roberts who leads from Dennis. Somebody going straight on there at turn 3 and wallop straight in he goes. I think that was Ben Riley in number 422 we lost there into a fence post. 313 Carl Roberts with Nigel Green still just in front of him. So there is Geoff Gibson, sorry, in 249. Both about to be lapped by the flying Carl Roberts, so Nigel Green not yet making up any ground from his final winner's lap handicap. There's Stewart Smith further back in the order in 390. He's got some damage there to the left front suspension, looking very bent indeed. There are only 12 cars having taken the green flag in this one. Whether that is, will try and keep going, I think, and at least pick up some points if they finish. I think it might be Billy Johnson in 169 with the bent front wheel there. There goes our race leader past him, and Luke Dennis in 192. Yes, it is Billy Johnson with that front wheel lying at a very drunken angle. It's like in rallycross or NASCAR. It's got 4 wheels on it and you can go forwards. You keep racing. That's BriscaF1 for you. Still Carl Roberts in 313 with the lead. Nigel Green has made up a bit of ground on the lap handicap. Craig Finnegan is up into second place. I thought he was a lap down. I apologise. He is there in second place ahead of Luke Dennis and Richard Bryan. The world champion Junior Wainman is next. And we've got Stuart Smith in 390. Still your leader Carl Roberts in 313. Looking good for a second win of the day. Moving round to take the Union flag this time for halfway. Coming up to lap Geoff Gibson in 249 once again. There is the Union flag. There's Finnegan second, Dennis third. I think it's Danny Wainman possibly in fourth place in 212. He's shown as sixth on the lap charts, he's a bit further behind. Has got the quickest lap that time through. Roberts from Finnegan and Dennis. There is Danny Wainman behind them in 212. Not many cars left out there. Lost Ben Riley earlier on. He went into a fence post on turn 3. Eleven laps in the book now almost, and it'll be 5 to go for Carl Roberts. Making this race his own. He lapped everybody virtually in heat number 2 except for Geoff Gibson. He would manage to lap the world champion. He'll try and do so again here. Still going with his rather remodeled front suspension. Seems to be handling any worse. So we're in the closing stages now of this BriscaF1 Grand National here at Bellevue, the first point scoring meeting of the season. 2 drivers have stood out head and shoulders above the rest. Stuart Smith and 313 Carl Roberts. Superb drives from both of them. Stuart Smith currently fighting not far behind Roberts here. He could get himself into the top 3. He's battling Danny Wainman. There's number 1, Junior Wainman, and he's been lapped again. Not a happy day for the world champion as we go into the penultimate lap of the day here at Bellevue. Roberts all set for his second win. Bounces off the curb there. 1 lap to go, 1 to win for 313 Carl Roberts. What a superb day he has had. Couldn't quite get on the top step of the podium in the final. Nigel Green and Stuart Smith just a little bit too quick for him. But he's going to take his second win of the day here in our Grand National. 313 Carl Roberts comes home to take the checkered flag. With form like this, he won't be a yellow roof for long. There's Stuart Smith dispatching somebody there on the final turn on his way home. He will finish in third place behind Craig Finnegan. So Roberts the winner ahead of Finnegan and Smith, who dispatched Danny Wainman on the final bend. Then Richard Bryan, Nigel Green making it up to 6th from the lap handicap. And then Luke Dennis, Geoff Gibson, Junior Wainman and Billy Johnson, the 10 finishers.
313 Carl Roberts, winner of the heats. Now you've won the Grand National.
Yeah, really good race. Just tried following Nigel Green. He started a lap down as he won the final, and it worked well. Got put wide by a car who lapped down, but I just kept going. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. Car's been really good all day, so yeah, I'm pleased.
Yeah, you were unlucky in a few of the races, like the final. You were well on course to win that, and then traffic caught you up, and then the stars caught you. So it's been a hard night.
Yeah, it has. You just got to be on your ball all the time in this game. It's stock car racing, anything can happen. So yeah, it's just a luck of the draw really. I've been lucky today.
And it's always nice to see a lower graded winner, although if you keep getting results like that, you won't be yellow for long.
No, hopefully not. Like, we only do the one surface, so that holds us back a little bit, but we're on a lower budget as well compared to some drivers, but we'll just do as well as we can with what we've got. So yeah,
Keep it up. Thank you very much.
thank you very much.
So after that opening point scoring meeting of the year, let's have a look at the points then, and a great performance by yellow grader Carl Roberts. He sits at the top, a point ahead of final winner Nigel Green. Stuart Smith a further few points back in third, ahead of Danny Wainman and Craig Finnekin. The World Championship qualifiers began at the end of the 2016 season. It's Dan Johnson, absent today, who still sits at the top, only a point ahead of Nigel Green, with other luminaries who have yet to race in 2017 sitting just behind them. That's all from here at Bellevue today then. Thanks very much for watching. Next time, we're on the tarmac at Birmingham. We'll see you then. Bye for now.